Today, I want to talk about something incredibly simple yet powerful: being true to yourself. In a world that constantly tries to mold us, compare us, and convince us to be someone else, staying true to who we are is one of the bravest things we can do. Being true to yourself means knowing your values, honoring your feelings, and choosing paths that reflect your true identity, even when it's not the easiest option. Too often, we wear masks to fit in, to be liked, or to avoid conflict. But the more we pretend, the more we drift away from our authentic selves, and that's when we begin to feel lost, uncertain, and disconnected. Remember this: your uniqueness is your power, your voice matters. Your dreams are valid, and your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's. When you are true to yourself, you stop chasing approval and start living with purpose. So today, I challenge you: trust your instincts, speak your truth, and be bold enough to stand in your authenticity. The world doesn't need more copies, it needs you, the real you. Before you can be true to yourself, you must first understand who you truly are, and that starts with knowing your core values. Core values are the principles and beliefs that guide your decisions, shape your character, and define what truly matters to you in life. They are not what others expect of you, and they are not based on trends or social pressures. They are the internal compass that helps you navigate through challenges, relationships, and opportunities. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? What qualities do I admire in others? What makes me feel fulfilled, proud, or at peace? Your answers will point you toward your values, whether it's honesty, compassion, freedom, creativity, family, faith, growth, or integrity. Knowing your values gives you clarity. When life presents difficult choices, values act as a filter to determine what aligns with your true self and what doesn't. If you value honesty, you'll struggle in situations that require deception. If you value independence, you may feel suffocated in overly controlling environments. Without this self-awareness, it's easy to fall into patterns of living for others, chasing goals that aren't yours, or making decisions that leave you feeling empty. But when you're grounded in your values, you make decisions that bring inner peace, even when they're hard. You feel more confident in your path because it reflects who you are, not who the world wants you to be. Knowing your core values also strengthens your identity. It allows you to define success on your own terms. While others may measure success by wealth, status, or recognition, you might find success in meaningful relationships, personal growth, or living a simple, balanced life. That clarity protects you from comparison and helps you build a life that feels true, not just impressive. Ultimately, your values are your foundation. They don't just shape what you do, they shape who you become. Take the time to reflect, write them down, and revisit them often, because the more connected you are to your values, the more authentic your life will be. One of the most powerful tools you have in life is your inner voice, that quiet, persistent sense within you that nudges, warns, inspires, and guides. Often called your intuition, conscience, or gut feeling, this inner voice is deeply personal. It is shaped by your values, experiences, emotions, and unique way of seeing the world. Listening to your inner voice means honoring that internal wisdom, even when it doesn't align with what others are saying or doing. It's about recognizing when something doesn't feel right, even if it looks good on the outside, and choosing to trust that feeling. Sometimes this voice might be faint, drowned out by external noise, pressure, or fear. But when you slow down, reflect, and create space for silence, your inner voice becomes clearer. Many people lose touch with their inner voice because they're too busy chasing approval or living by someone else's expectations. They override their instincts to follow the crowd, please authority figures, or meet societal standards. But the truth is, no one else knows what's best for you better than you. You are the one living your life. You are the one who feels the consequences of your choices. That's why listening to your own inner guidance is so essential to being true to yourself. Your inner voice can take many forms. Sometimes it's a strong gut reaction, like unease in a toxic relationship or excitement about a new opportunity. Sometimes it's a lingering thought that won't go away, an emotional reaction to a situation, or a sense of peace when something feels aligned. Whatever form it takes, it deserves your attention. When you start listening to yourself, you develop greater self-trust. You no longer need to constantly ask others what you should do because you've built confidence in your own judgment. That doesn't mean you never seek advice, but you learn to filter external opinions through your internal truth. You learn to pause and ask, does this decision reflect who I am? Does this path feel right for me? And that small habit of checking in with yourself can lead to life-changing clarity. Listening to your inner voice also protects your well-being. It helps you avoid situations, people, or choices that might seem appealing but aren't aligned with your deeper truth. It helps you recognize when something is draining you, when it's time to move on, or when you're meant to take a leap of faith. Ultimately, your inner voice is not just a tool. It is a reflection of your authentic self. The more you listen to it, the more in tune you become with who you are and who you're meant to be. Fitting in can feel comforting. It offers the illusion of safety, acceptance, and belonging. But the truth is, when you constantly change yourself to be accepted by others, you slowly disconnect from who you really are. And in trying so hard to belong everywhere, you may end up truly belonging nowhere, not even to yourself. The pressure to fit in can begin early, at school, in families, or through cultural norms. And it often follows us into adulthood, workplaces, friendships, and even social media. It can be subtle, laughing at jokes you don't find funny, staying silent when something bothers you, pretending to agree just to avoid conflict, or hiding your real interests because you fear being judged. Over time, these small compromises add up. They create a version of yourself that's edited, filtered, and disconnected from your authentic truth. There's a difference between adapting and compromising. Adapting is about growing, learning, and cooperating in a healthy way. Compromising your truth to gain approval, on the other hand, is about shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's mold. And while it may get you temporary validation, it often leaves you feeling hollow, anxious, or even resentful inside. Choosing not to compromise your identity for acceptance requires strength. It means being willing to stand out, to be misunderstood, or even to be alone for a while. But that kind of strength pays off in powerful ways. When you're true to yourself, you attract relationships and opportunities that align with your real self, not with the mask you wore. You begin to find your real people, the ones who accept you as you are, not as who you pretend to be. Authenticity may not always make you popular, but it will make you peaceful. There's freedom in no longer seeking permission to be yourself. You don't have to fake smiles, force conversations, or live a double life. You can speak your truth, pursue your passions, and live with integrity. And let's be clear, being different isn't a weakness, it's a strength. The world progresses because of people who dare to be different, who don't conform just for comfort. Innovation, creativity, and change are born from those who refuse to compromise themselves to blend in. So rather than shaping yourself to fit into every space, choose to build spaces where your authentic self belongs. Because when you stop trying to fit in, you make room to stand out in a way that's honest, bold, and real. One of the most empowering steps you can take toward being true to yourself is to fully accept and celebrate what makes you different. In a world that often tries to define success, beauty, intelligence, and worth by narrow standards, embracing your individuality is both an act of courage and a declaration of self-worth. From an early age, many people are taught, sometimes subtly, sometimes directly, that being different is a flaw. Whether it's your appearance, personality, beliefs, background, or dreams, if it doesn't match the norm, it can feel like something to hide. You might begin to downplay your passions, change your style, silence your voice, or second-guess your instincts just to blend in. But the truth is, your uniqueness is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to be proud of. It is your personal signature, the very thing that sets you apart from the rest of the world. No one else thinks exactly the way you do. No one else has lived your life, felt your emotions, or walked your path. That means your perspective has value, your experiences matter, and your story is worth being told, just as it is. When you begin to celebrate your uniqueness instead of apologizing for it, something powerful happens. You begin to live more freely. You stop editing yourself to fit other people's expectations. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. Instead, you start honoring your own timeline. trusting your own voice, and creating a life that feels genuine. This self-acceptance also influences how you treat others. When you stop judging your own differences, you become more open and compassionate toward the differences in others. You start to appreciate the rich diversity of human experience, and that creates more meaningful, authentic relationships. People are drawn to realness, not perfection. Celebrating your uniqueness also means embracing your flaws, not because they're ideal, but because they're real. Being true to yourself doesn't mean being flawless, it means being honest. The quirks, imperfections, and struggles that you carry aren't weaknesses. They are part of your humanity, and often they're the very things that connect you more deeply with others. So let your uniqueness shine. Whether it's your bold creativity, quiet sensitivity, unconventional path, or wild ideas, own them. The world doesn't need more replicas or copies. It needs more people who are unafraid to be fully, unapologetically themselves. One of the most vital yet difficult aspects of being true to yourself is learning to say no, and meaning it. It sounds simple, but for many people, saying no brings anxiety, guilt, or fear of rejection. That's because we're often conditioned to believe that being agreeable makes us good, likable, or kind. But constantly saying yes to others, especially at the expense of your own needs, eventually leads to resentment, burnout, and a loss of self-respect. Saying no is not about being rude or selfish. It's about setting healthy boundaries and honoring your own values, time, and emotional well-being. It's about recognizing that you cannot and should not be everything to everyone. When you say yes to something that doesn't align with who you are, you're actually saying no to yourself. You're sacrificing your energy, your priorities, or your peace to accommodate someone else's expectations. Having the courage to say no requires self-awareness. You have to know what your limits are, what matters to you, and what you're comfortable with. That awareness gives you the confidence to stand your ground. You might disappoint some people. You might even lose the approval of those who only valued your compliance, but you'll gain something far more valuable: self-respect and authenticity. There will be times when your refusal makes you stand out or even stand alone. Turning down invitations, opportunities, or expectations that don't align with your truth might feel isolating at first, but over time, it becomes empowering. Each time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you create more room in your life for the things that truly do. You begin to prioritize what brings you joy, growth, and peace instead of just what brings you acceptance. It also teaches others how to treat you. When you set boundaries with clarity and firmness, you show people that your needs matter. You demonstrate that your time isn't disposable and that your voice has weight. This not only earns respect from others, but also models the importance of self-respect in your relationships. Saying no is also a form of emotional honesty. It keeps you from overcommitting, from stretching yourself too thin, or from agreeing to things out of fear rather than choice. It's about making intentional decisions rather than reactive ones, and it reminds you that you are the author of your own life, not a character in someone else's script. Letting go of people pleasing is one of the most liberating steps you can take toward being true to yourself. At its core, people pleasing is the act of putting others' needs, opinions, and expectations ahead of your own, often to the point of self-neglect. While it may seem harmless or even kind on the surface, chronic people pleasing can chip away at your identity, drain your emotional energy, and leave you feeling invisible in your own life. Many people fall into the trap of people pleasing out of a deep desire to be liked, accepted, or needed. This often stems from childhood patterns, fear of rejection, low self-esteem, or a belief that self-worth is tied to how useful or agreeable you are to others. But when your choices revolve around avoiding conflict, earning approval, or keeping the peace, you're not living for yourself, you're performing for others. This performance becomes exhausting. You may say yes when you want to say no, stay silent when something hurts you, or agree to things that go against your values just to avoid disappointing someone. Over time, you begin to feel resentful, overwhelmed, and disconnected from your true desires. You start to question what you really want because you've spent so long prioritizing what everyone else wants from you. Letting go of people pleasing means learning that you cannot control how others feel about you. and more importantly, that you don't have to. It's accepting that no matter how hard you try, you will never be able to make everyone happy, and in trying to do so, you may end up sacrificing the one person whose happiness you are responsible for, yourself. It also means developing a stronger sense of self-worth, one that isn't dependent on external validation. You begin to validate yourself. You recognize that your value doesn't decrease just because someone disapproves of your choices. You understand that being kind does not mean being submissive, and that having boundaries is not a betrayal. It's an act of self-care, letting go of people. Pleasing involves building the courage to be honest, even when honesty might disappoint someone. It means learning to sit with discomfort rather than avoid it by defaulting to what's easiest or most likable. It's choosing authenticity over approval and self-respect over temporary harmony. This shift doesn't mean becoming cold or inconsiderate. In fact, when you stop people-pleasing, your relationships become more genuine. You show up as your true self, not a version tailored to meet others' expectations. Those who truly care for you will respect your honesty, and those who don't were only attached to the version of you that wasn't real. Change is inevitable. As we move through life, we grow, learn, and adapt. Our circumstances shift, our priorities change, and we are shaped by new experiences, relationships, and challenges. However, amid all this evolution, it's essential to stay grounded in who you are at your core, to evolve without losing yourself. Being true to yourself doesn't mean staying exactly the same forever. In fact, personal growth is a sign of strength and awareness. But as you grow, it's important to ensure that your evolution is authentic, not driven by pressure to conform, fear of rejection, or the desire to impress. There is a fine line between growing into a better version of yourself and drifting away from your identity to fit into someone else's definition of success, happiness, or worth. This can happen subtly. You might start a new job and, over time, adopt habits or beliefs that don't really align with you just to feel accepted in the workplace. Or perhaps you enter a relationship and begin compromising your passions or opinions to keep the peace. You might even adopt a lifestyle that looks impressive on the outside, but leaves you feeling unfulfilled on the inside. To evolve without losing yourself means staying connected to your core values, your voice, and your purpose, even as the outer layers of your life shift and change. It means asking yourself regularly, is this still who I want to be? Is this choice aligned with my truth? Am I growing in a way that feels authentic to me? These questions act as checkpoints that help ensure your growth is rooted in self-honesty. Staying grounded also means being mindful of the influences around you. Social media, trends, peer pressure, and cultural expectations can all shape our perceptions of what we should be. But just because something is popular doesn't mean it's right for you. Just because others are doing it doesn't mean it will bring you fulfillment. You have to tune out the noise and return to your own inner compass. You can grow and still remain you. You can gain wisdom without becoming cynical. You can develop new skills, enter new phases, and embrace new roles, while still holding on to the essence of who you are. Growth doesn't mean erasing your roots. It means expanding from them. Think of yourself like a tree. Your branches may stretch in many directions, but your roots must remain firm and deep. This balance between growth and groundedness is what allows you to move forward in life with confidence and clarity. You're not just reacting to the world, you're responding in a way that honors your unique path. You're evolving with intention, not by accident, and in doing so, you live a life that continues to reflect the real you, even as you change.